David, obviously really sad news last weekend about Cameron and Dave Walsh. It's a tough situation to be involved in, I suppose.
Yeah, it's been a difficult week. There's no getting around that. There's certainly lots of tears, lots of upset people, lots of support required throughout the club. Over the weekend, Monday morning, Tuesday, there's, and things like that. It affects everyone. There's no other way to put it other than it's devastating for everyone. There's people here who have known known the lad for 8-10 years. So yeah, it's been a tough week. It's been a tough week for everyone. And it's not been easy. You're asking players to remain professional and try and take on board things, but at the same time, you understand as a head coach that they might not be in the right frame of mind to listen to anything. They might want to be on their own. They might want to be around everyone. They might just want to play football, and you've got to be mindful of that, especially the younger players in the first team group, and certainly all the scholars. That's really important that they've got as much support as required. Obviously, we had the PFA in, the LFE were in Monday, telling all the players. I know that Debbie and Woodsy had meetings with the staff on Sunday. I had him with the first team staff on Sunday, just to make sure people knew that if they wanted time away, if they needed any support, whether that's in-house or externally, they shouldn't be ashamed or afraid to ask, because it's incumbent on us to sort of keep the wheels in motion. But at the same time, it's a devastating loss to the football club.
In terms of on the pitch, obviously you've had the 2-week break. How have you found that, getting a bit more time to work with the boys? Yeah,
look, there's one or two other bits that will come out in due course that's impacted on various things. I don't want people to think it's excuses, but you've got to understand we're talking about human beings, and sometimes you're in a good place and sometimes you're not in a good place. So I appreciate that from the outside it looks like we've had 2 good weeks, or 2 free weeks if you like, but it particularly hasn't felt like that. It's no excuse, I know, but I think everyone can understand, especially when you put everything into context. Obviously, yes, it helps having the free week, but there's also caveats to that, and we all know them. So, like I say, it's been a challenging week. Last week was a bit different, but we've had other news. So yeah, it's not been easy. It's not been easy.
And obviously, we don't want to dwell on the New Year's Day result, but tough nut to swallow. But you go with new week and a new challenge against Notts County. Yeah,
I think the Walsall game reflected my short time at the football club. That being, we were consistently inconsistent in the sense that we were good for 35-40 minutes. By far the better team. Should have been more than 1 goal up. And then suddenly we end up 2-1 down at the break, and then we don't turn up in the second half. So we've got to make sure we maximise the periods when we're on top and make sure that time is elongated, like we did at Salford. And also when the opposition have spells or periods in the game, we are not as easy to beat as we were certainly in that second half, and that 10 minutes really that swung the game. So yes, there was lots of positives. I think people can see where we're going to get to, but we have got to be more consistent across the 90 minutes without a shadow of a doubt. So some real positives, but at the end of the day you can't lose by that scoreline. It's as simple as that. So work to do, but some pleasing aspects as well.
Can it be difficult to, after a result like that, sort of performance in the second half, you get sucked into just hammering people and complaining about everything, but it's also a learning opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, we were due to have 2 days off. We was in on the following day, not as a punishment, because it was important that they understood where they went wrong as quickly as possible. So they still had a day off the day after, but we spent 3 hours in the video room going through it all, so that they knew, You know, when I say my bit after the game, didn't shout at them. You know, I think there's a time and a place for raising your voice. I'm not sure that's it. I think I tend to get more angry 2 days after, when I know that there's no emotion involved, and I'm right because I watched the game again, and there's data and stats that that backs up the whatever the point you're trying to make. And I've said I very rarely shout at people because I don't think that's the right way to necessarily get a response. But we did show them, and I think the players accepted the findings, if you like, the revelations, and the camera doesn't lie. So they know that it's not just me and my opinion. There's actually other things to back that up. Because you want to put something like that to bed as quick as you can, and not having a game for 2 weeks. Again, you could have them in every day. It's counterproductive, that kind of thing. So we've got to make sure that we don't repeat that. They are things that shouldn't be repeated. And like I said, we don't need to dwell on it too much, but it's a learn. Everything's a learning. You tend to learn more about your players, and you should learn more about yourself in defeat than in victory. And we're going to find out in the next few weeks and months whether that's the case.
With that, starting with Notts County, obviously changing manager, but not in the normal circumstances of them getting ready to go on to Swansea.
Yep.
What do you expect from them? Is the challenge going to be slightly different now because of that?
That's a $64,000 question. If we knew that, we'd probably be able to play a bit better, but this is not uncommon. Why? We've had very recent experience in Salford. They changed their manager, and it was the first game for their new caretaker manager. Slightly, like I say, slightly different circumstances, a far more defined game plan and sort of philosophy. I don't expect it to be any different from that, but there might be some tweaks, for the caretaker and interim manager. So we've got to be mindful of that. We've got to be, tactically savvy, certainly early on in the game, to spot anything like that. But at the same time, we think we know what Notts County are. They've been doing it for 2 and a bit years now. I can't see them changing in a week and a half or a week since the manager left.
And obviously Macaulay Longstaff flying in terms of his goal scoring form. How do you deal with a player like that?
A team isn't made up of one player. Yeah, he might get all the glory for being the 9, but I'm pretty certain that McGoldrick and Crowley will be having something to say about that if I just talk about one lad. And we don't beat a team by keeping one lad quiet. Conversely, we don't win a game if we just expose one defender. It's a team game. Yes, we've got to be mindful of him, but at the same time, we've got to make sure that we're also aware of their other threats. And more to the point, they've got to be wary of where we are. Notts County have lost 6 games away from home on the spin. I'm not sure how Macaulay Longstaff played in all of them, but we know that's their team results, and we've got to take advantage of that.
And finally, just team news going into the game. Any players coming back? Anyone notably absent?
It's been that long. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 back. There's 1 or 2 back from the Walsall game. And I don't think we've lost anyone either, so that's a good thing.